I'm going to be here talking to you a little bit about fitness. We're going to be talking about fitness after 40, okay? So I'm a little bit, probably about 13 years behind because I'm 53. So we're going to be talking, but nonetheless, we're going to be talking about focus after 40, meaning how do we get our body back to that condition that we used to be at? Not saying that we can't get there, it's just what are some of the techniques, some of the tips that we can use, we can employ to make sure that we're fit after 40. Now, the question is, I always get is where do I begin? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Again, my name is Omar Bohler. I'm a fitness trainer and I'm a certified personal trainer. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and we'll start with a couple of things. So a couple of things we're going to talk about is we're going to first talk about the mindset. What does it take for the mindset to be fit? We're going to look up a little bit about exercise regimens, and you have to excuse me. I'm 53, so that vision over there is not as great. So I may have to employ some of you guys younger people up there to tell me what that is. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the types of training regimens. We're going to look at relaxation techniques. How do we get ourselves focused to do the do as far as getting ready to be fit? And then we're going to look at eliminating stress. That is a huge problem, especially in this COVID environment. I have found myself, and I had to recognize that I have been stressed as a result of COVID, just in itself. And then you take a side of everything that's happening in this country right about now, and there's added stress. So the question is, how do we reduce that? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk about holistic diets. How do we get our diet in play with what we want to achieve as far as fitness? So the first thing is mindset. The first thing when we think about mindset, we think about changing our view. And what I mean by changing our view, I'm talking about instead of I can't versus I don't. It's almost like when you think about the foods, oftentimes people say, well, because of this certain condition, I can't. Well, the truth of the matter is you can. There's consequences to that, but you can eat just about anything. You can do just about anything. But it's a choice when you choose to say, hey, I don't want to do this. You know, you're at a table or something like that, and somebody says cake, and you probably had a cake earlier, you know, and you say, well, I shouldn't eat any more cake. So you say, I don't. You know, I've got a certain meal plan, and I'm going to stick to it, so therefore I don't, okay? So it gets you in a mindset where it's not inhibiting you from eating what you want. It's a personal choice. There's a difference between you inhibiting yourself and a personal choice. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we start talking about diet as well. And then we want to go into what is known as I can't versus I can. And what we mean by that is we're talking about a realistic approach to doing whatever you want to do, okay? Meaning oftentimes because it's been a long time since we started working out, and I've been at a place where I've been out of the gym, and I say, well, I don't want to go into the gym because I'm self-conscious about walking into a gym. So I may decide to do something else. But the whole idea is I can in a realistic way. What do I want to do? Do I want to do something in the gym? Do I want to do something at home? Do I want to get a personal trainer? How do I want to motivate myself? And that's the same thing as far as whatever you decide to do. I'm talking about meal planning. How do I get myself in a right mind frame? And I will tell you, one begets the other. And what I mean by that is if you're spiritually right and you start to go to the gym, you're going to start to focus on your diet. One can't happen without the other. So if you get at least two of those in place, spirit, you get your diet and your body, you get two of the threes in play, the other one's going to follow. That's just the way it is. All right, so next, we want to look at keeping the past in the past and build on today. So what I mean by that is you're not going to compare yourself to that 18-year-old self, you know, because that 18-year-old person, one is a different person, and that 18-year-old person don't think like you do today. So there's huge advantages to you being over 40 now, and there's huge deficits in you being 18. So therefore, you build on what you have now. Start it as a baseline and don't automatically jump into something you're not ready to do. So again, don't hold yourself accountable for what you used to do. Hold yourself accountable to who you are today and what you want to achieve today, okay? And we're going to talk about small steps, goals, and stuff like that as well. So then we want to plan for success. So first, how do you plan for success? As we started off, it's a mindset. But number 2 is dressing the part. If you're not dressed to go to the gym, you're not going to go to the gym. So if you're not dressed for a good, intense workout, you're not going to have a good, intense workout. Sometimes, like today, a good example, I said I was coming here, and I normally teach a cycle class today. But I felt that I wanted to get my workout in. And since I was home teleworking for my 9-to-5 job, I said, you know what, I'm going to dress in my gym clothes today. I'll work out during lunch, and then I'll still come here in the evening. Now, I got to be honest. I know myself. If I didn't get up and dress, then I probably wouldn't have came, because I would have said, hey, you know, I normally work out at night. Let's forget it. Let me give myself a day off, you know. So I would have gave myself an excuse not to work out. So planning for success is really about not only the mindset, is how do you set yourself up? How do you dress? How do you stage yourself? How do you prepare the night before for what you're going to be doing the next day, okay? So it's almost like planning to read. It's almost like planning to open a Bible. If you don't have it next to you, if you don't download the app, then you're not going to open the app up to read the app, okay? So when we look at the other part of that is habit forming. Now, the researchers say in order to form a habit, you got to practice that practice at least 21 days. Meaning, if you have a plan, if it's a diet plan, if it's a spiritual plan about how long you're going to read your Bible, if it's a plan related to how often you're going to work out, if you don't practice that plan, if you don't build a schedule for yourself, then you're not going to do it. So the whole thing is putting that 21-day plan into practice, and then it becomes repetition. Repetition is the mother of all skills. You continue to do something that you know and you benefited from it the day before. So then, properly reward success. You know, as a kid, to me, growing in a household, when I would win something, get something, the first thing somebody would say is, hey, let's go out to eat. You know, let's get some candy. Hey, that deserves some candy. Matter of fact, you know, I had an auntie that was famous for keeping candy, you know, for the kids and stuff like that. Not necessarily a benefit for us today. Not really even necessarily a benefit for us then, because it programs us to think that candy and cakes and snacks like that is always something as a reward. Not saying that you can't use it as a reward, but it shouldn't be your go-to every single time. So maybe a reward is a movie. Maybe a reward is something realistic for you. Maybe it's something else physical. Maybe it's a walk in a park. Maybe it's going to the gun range. Maybe it's doing something with your friends that is not related to infringing upon your diet. And we'll talk a little bit about setting yourself up appropriately diet-wise as well, okay? So again, having the right mindset also includes properly rewarding your success. And that becomes a mindset too. You know, how you reward yourself depends on how you're going to stay with that meal plan or how you're going to stay with that workout plan. So let's talk a little bit about training regimens. The first thing I want to share with you is before you start any training regimen, you want to see your doctor. You know, I have my doctor on a continuous loop every year. You know, I'm fortunate that when I go see my doctor, the first thing they do is schedule my next appointment. So I'm already knowing next year when my next appointment is coming up. So I sit down with my doctor. I honestly tell my doctor what's going on with my body, what are some of the certain things that I'm having an issue with. I may be having an issue with my knee because, you know, I spent 20 years in the military, so I don't have the greatest knees. So I talked to my doctor about that. I talked to my doctor about maybe other things that are going on with my body that's unique to me. And then I ask them certain things. What are my limitations? What do you think I can do? Is it okay for me to do this? This year, or last year, I got to be honest with you, I had COVID. So there were certain things that I had to think about when I went back to the gym. So I did a lung functions test. I did a CT scan of my chest because I wanted to make sure, I'm over 50. I want to make sure that I'm right with myself and able to be there to support my wife and my kids and stuff like that. So that's making sure that my body is doing what it's supposed to do at my current age. So I'm asking my doctor about those. I'm seeking advice from people around me, like my wife, to tell me, what should I do? The first thing she said, you need to do a CT scan, and I'm thinking I got to go to the doctor, but the truth of the matter is, I need to trust in that. I need to trust in my resources, my family, my prayer about how my body is feeling. So then I do those things, and then I get those results, and then I apply those results to what I feel I can do physically. Okay, so see your doctor. And then you may decide to get a personal trainer, and that may be something that's for you. But not everybody needs a personal trainer. A personal trainer is good because there's a sense of motivation, holding you accountable, somebody who's there motivating you. I do so much better when I'm training with someone else. They don't have to be at the same fitness level. It's just that I am training with someone else that I'm almost, in a sense, even if it's just a one-time thing, me and you go out and we train, I'm just holding myself accountable because of the fact that I got somebody pushing me. And I often have the conversation with a person that I'm working out with, hey, I need you to push me. That's a part of your job, to push me. How do you want to be pushed? And I'll tell that person, how do I want to be pushed? So have that conversation, but that's the goal of a personal trainer. Personal trainer should assess you as well. So there's certain metrics that personal trainers are aware of so they can assess you, and then they write that down, and every time you come, you build upon that matrix that they set up for you. There are certain tests, strength tests, flexibility tests, certain things that they do with you to make sure that you're in the right space. But not everybody needed a personal trainer. I have personally never needed a personal trainer. I've just had somebody, a good friend of mine that was in the gym that we just clicked when we were working out together, or somebody from work, somebody that I had a good relationship with. We go in a gym, we build a relationship, and then we both talk about our individual goals, and then we work to achieve them. That person holds me accountable, and I hold that person accountable. So the bottom line is just do it. Go into the gym. It can be by yourself, but typically you're going to be motivated when you have somebody else with you. So here, the first type of training regimen is aerobic. So when we look at aerobic, we're talking about expending a large amount of energy over a period of time that's at least 20 minutes or greater. Okay. Examples of that is fartleks. Anybody ever heard of a fartlek? So a fartlek is typically, you see them a lot in military. So a fartlek, you may be running, and then you speed up. Then you slow back down, and you speed up. They're burst, and then you speed up. A good example is military may be running in one single file line. The person at the end of that 10th person runs up to the front as fast as they can. And then the next person, who's number 9, who's now number 10, runs up front. And then it goes all the way around. So that's kind of a fartlek, okay? And then you may have like interval training. So interval training, and that's long periods of time too. I'm not sure if that's interval training. Yeah, that's aerobic interval training. So an aerobic interval training is pretty much the same thing, but it's going over a long period of time. So you're not breaking. So again, as a good example of an aerobic interval training would be like cycling. So you're on a cycle bike, and then you speed up. Then you slow down. You're still cycling. You're still pedaling. So you're in what is known as active recovery or in a warm-up phase. So they'll tell you to slow down, and then you're just pedaling. And then they'll tell you to burst it out. So you burst it out for like a minute. then you'll slow down, or you'll burst it out for like 30 seconds, then you'll slow down. So that's interval training, all right? And again, that's normally 20 plus minutes. All right, so our next one is anaerobic. So anaerobic, as you can see, I got a HIIT t-shirt on. That's high intensity interval training. So anaerobic would be high intensity training for short burst, like a 400-meter run. For a short burst, then you stop, then you may have a small little rest period where you're literally stopping, resting, and then you do the same thing again. So you may do multiple sets of those, okay? In high-intensity interval training, we do things where we're on a treadmill. So we'll be on a treadmill for like a minute. We may even burst it up and go on a sprint, after 30 seconds on a like driven pace, meaning we're at a jog, okay? We're not walking, we're at a jog, and then we'll sprint for 30 seconds. Then we'll calm it down. Then we'll even come off that treadmill and maybe go to some weights and do some different exercises on the ground with weights. So we may do lat pull downs. We may do overhead presses. So we may, again, it's different intervals in that. So again, that's aerobic. Those are short bursts. Normally, high intensity training, about 2 minutes in duration each one. And then you have what is known as flexibility training. For us who are 40 and above, really, to be honest, maybe even younger, I wish I would have been more aggressive in my flexibility training when I was younger. Because as I learned my body and as I learned what I didn't do, as young people, we just get out there and we just play basketball. Remember that? Where you can just go out there and play basketball, and the next day you wake up and feel nothing, no problems, nothing. Like you do it today, and you don't stretch or anything like that, and you feeling it like for a week. You're like, what happened? I mean, like a month. You're right. You're like, hey, I got to figure this thing out. You now know I got to stretch. But it wasn't something you was practicing. Well, flexibility training addresses that. And what you do is you're talking about full range of movement. They call it FOM, full range of movement. Meaning you are stretching your joints at the link points where you have that full range of movement, thereby increasing that span, that ability to be flexible. It's almost like a good flexibility exercise that I'm currently doing, I'm currently working on, and I'm not sure if anybody can see me here, but I'm going to move this just for a second. I want to show you some. Hold on to this. So one of the things I'm currently working on is I'm actually getting in this position here, trying to be able to sit here for long periods of time and even bend back, and you can see that full range of motion. What it does here is when I start to do exercises, I got more range of motion when I do those leg extensions. So instead of going here as the full range of motion, maybe I can even go back further, okay? So I got more length of muscles that I can employ because of the fact that I got a different range of motion, okay? So flexibility training is very important for us as far as injury prevention, as far as us being flexible, as far as us having longevity out of our joints and our limbs and stuff like that, and also being able to recover from a workout. Flexibility training is very important for us to recover. So we should be stretching before, and I would say I normally try to stretch about 15 minutes before a workout. And then at the end, I do the same thing. At least dedicate 15 minutes for my after workout stretch, okay? Because again, in some of those movements, especially as an example, if you ride your bike, if you cycle, you're cycling like this, you're actually closing off your airway. So you want to stretch, and you're actually tensing up at some points, especially based on the terrain. So what you want to do is you want to open that chest out in your stretching exercises. So you may even grab something. You may even just take your arms behind your back and just stretch it that way. Or take it above your head and do a tricep stretch and stretch it that way. And you hold on to that tricep for that full stretch. Okay, so flexibility training is one of the stepping stones to us being able to have longevity when we do those workouts, okay? Again, it gives us that full range of motion that we're going to need when we want to explode, jump up higher and stuff like that. And also gives you that bounce when you come back. Remember, now when you jump up, the biggest dread is coming down. It's not going up. I know I can jump up high. The problem is I know I got to come down. So even before you go up there and you get that ball and you want to jump, you think about, how you're going to come down. So the leap is a little bit different. The thought about the leap is a little bit different. When you do flexibility training, it gives you that ability to come down and have that bounce a little bit better. Okay? So because again, you're training those muscles for that full range of motion. Okay? So that's flexibility training. So the three we really talked about is, we talked about anaerobic exercises. That is the aerobic exercise. That is that continuous training for at least 20 plus minutes. Then we talked about aerobic. That is for that burst, that high intensity. When we're talking about high intensity, we're talking about something like football. We're talking about something like the 40-meter sprints. When we're talking about aerobics, we're talking about marathons. We're talking about triathlons. We're talking at longevity, And then when we're talking about flexibility, obviously we're talking about something like yoga. And then again, we got strength training. Strength training, again, I would say strength training is more of that football training, because again, we're talking about also that pushing movement where you have that force coming against you. So strength training is free weights. The biggest thing here is, and you can have strength training doing body weight exercises as well. So long as you are lifting maybe your body weight, lifting progressive lifting and stuff like that. So those are things that we want to do when we're talking about strength training. One of my neighbors came to me and asked me, because he read a study about push-ups and the fact that if you can't do a push-up, life expectancy is drastically short. And I can't remember what he was talking about. What's the distance? Because they're talking about your ability to be athletic and stuff like that, being able to do a push-up. And he was telling me that, he couldn't do a push-up. I said, that's not an uncommon thing for us to get up in age and can't do a push-up. I wish I could tell you that was uncommon, but it isn't. And he was asking me, well, what are ways for me to, progress to get to a push-up again? This is what I used to be able to do. I used to be able to get down and burst out, 50 push-ups as a young man, I can't even do one now. So I say, well, the easiest way to do it is get on a wall and progress from a wall. So all you do is just take your hands, and the easiest way to do it is you can do close grip on a wall. You can do wide grip on a wall. I tell him to do wide grip on a wall because then you're employing more of your chest, and you also got your front deltoids working. So then you can progress to putting them closer to just employ your chest. So one is also focusing on that chest. And then as you get better, so your incline or your decline may not be that far. So you may just only be about 3 steps from that wall, and you're leaning forward right about this distance, and you're just pushing off. And then as you cycle through, and you may say, I'm going to do 4 sets of 10s in 5 minutes every day. So you hear what I said, 4 sets of 10s in 5 minutes. So you're making that time shorter, but you're doing something, you're doing it in a certain time span, so you can build muscle that way. So you do that, and as you progress, you may say, I'm going to do 5 sets of 10 every single day in 5 minutes. So that's a set of 10 every minute. And then you say, well, I got that down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a step backwards. So I'm going to increase the distance, therefore increasing what I have to do, what I have to push off, the weight, if you were talking about. So as you do that, and then you can actually move to your what is that? Your banister where you cook. Everybody know what I'm talking about? The counter. Thank you. If I had if I had one of the ladies here, they would have thought of that really quick. You know, us guys, we don't click like that. But my point is, you just lean on that banister, and you can actually do the same thing. Have a shorter distance first. Now, if you're doing the wall easy, then you need to start at the banister. And then you just do it from the banister and then just progress further and further back until you get to the ground, okay? And one of the things, and we'll talk about planning for it too, but that's really just setting yourself up for a goal. Hey, by the end of this month, I want to do 2 push-ups on the ground. By the end of this month, maybe you can't do none. But at the end of this month, again, whatever is realistic for you, maybe 2. Me and a person that I cycle with, he came to me and asked me, hey, let's do a push-up contest. I said, okay, and that sounds like fun. How many you want to do? And he said, how about 70? I said, how many sets are we talking about? It's just 1 set, straight out 70. I said, man, I haven't probably did something like that in about 20, 30 years. You talking about 70, one push? I said, you know, and I'm working and building up to it now. So today I was home and I said, you know, I'm going to do 30 on a decline. So my feet are literally lifted on a chair. So I did 30 on a decline. So I figure if I can do 30 on a decline, I can do 45 on a flat ground. You know, so I'm like at 45 now. So truth of the matter is, I probably get 50 with pressure on me. I got 2 more weeks, guys. So I'm going to have to check in with you, let you know if I made it. But nonetheless, you know, I set that challenge. Now, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking I may or I may not do this. But the point is, I set this goal, I set this challenge, and it's out there now. It's out in the space. And he's challenging me. So he's under that same rubric. And he was saying, you know, Omar, I'm not sure if I can make this. I said, then we might be not making it together, but we're going to push each other come April 24th. So again, that's teamwork. Now, I don't know this guy from Adam other than the fact that we cycle together, but the thing is, that's how you push each other. So let's talk a little bit about relaxation techniques, and then I'm going to show you some tools and tips here. We'll talk a little bit about diet, but I want to talk to you about relaxation techniques. Again, when we talk about relaxation techniques, it begins, again, with that physical assessment. So just like I said about your physical fitness or the type of training you do, the relaxation starts with your physical assessment too. So you talk to your doctor. When you go to your doctor, one of the things you should do is do a full workup. You want to see what you're deficient in, vitamin deficiency, whatever the case may be. The last time I went to the doctor, not this previous year, but the year before that, I found out that I was vitamin D deficient. So you want to figure out, you know, what are some of your deficiencies, what are some of your limitations, and oftentimes they won't tell you unless you ask. You know, if they're within normal levels, they may not tell you. Or if they're within the levels that they consider okay for your body size and what you've been doing over the past year. If you're progressing, you may not be progressing the way you want to. You may want to progress faster. So you say, hey, doctor, how does this look in comparison to last year? That's how you set that up. How does this look? How are my levels? Do I have any vitamin deficiencies? You know, where am I at as it compares to last year? You know, because oftentimes the only thing they'll tell you is your weight. That's the first thing they'll say. Well, your weight is, you know, a little bit different than last year. You know, or they'll congratulate you and say, especially as you start getting older, hey, your weight hasn't changed that much, so you're good. Well, what else? You know, what else is going on? So you want to ask them questions, and like I said, the main question I always ask is, how does this relate to last year? You know. So the next one is talk to a mental health person. You know, talk to a mental health person. It could be a friend, but talk to a person who's a clinician about relaxation techniques. What do you tell your clients? You know, and you may even talk to them about stressors in your life. You know, oftentimes, especially as people of color, we don't deal with the stressors in our life. We just put them to the side, we say we're okay, and we keep it moving. We may not even talk to our spouses about the serious things that's going on in our lives. That's a serious deficit. That's a serious problem for us. And the reason why I say that is because who else knows us best? They hang out with us. They see us at our greatest. They see us at our worst, and they still accept us. And let me share a quick story with you. I remember I was overseas, obviously in combat, and my wife came to me, or didn't come to me in the sense of coming to me, but I had a call with her. And it was a satellite phone. It wasn't a regular cell phone because we had shut down all the cell towers. Just being military, that's what we do. That's the first thing we do when we go into somebody else's country and we're fighting them. We want to shut down communication. We don't want them to know when we're coming, and the first way to do that, shut down communication. But I was talking on a satellite phone with my wife, and I was just doing the basic conversation, how are you, how are the kids, things of that nature. And I hung up the phone, and I thought nothing of it. Well, maybe about 3 weeks later, I get this package. And in this package is a box. It's a beautiful box. I got to tell you, it's got African motif. The paint on it didn't look like regular paint. It looked like something that was made. I mean, this literally looked like it was made in Africa. And it was in like a bag, a postal bag, but the postal bag was all tore up, ripped up and stuff. By the time it came to me overseas to Iraq, it was all messed up. And I opened the bag, and I looked in the box, and there was nothing in the box. So I figured maybe it was in a bag. The bag was tore up, and the box opened up, and whatever was inside, fell out in the bag. So I looked in the bag, and nothing was in it. I was like, whoa, I don't know what she sent me, but it had a beautiful box. So about maybe a week or two later, I got an opportunity to call her again. I was the gunnery sergeant of the unit, and I was in charge of the deployment, so everybody worked for me, meaning I did whatever they did. So I didn't let them call. I didn't call my wife if they didn't call their families. So I let them call their families first, and by the time they got done calling their families again, 2 weeks later, I called my bride, and I was talking to her, and you got to get those pleasantries out the way, because even though you overseas, you better treat her right. So I'm having a conversation with you. How you doing, sweetheart? How the kids and stuff like that, that introduction. I love you, that sort of thing. Hey, I got your box. I really appreciate it. It's a beautiful box. But interesting thing is there was nothing in it. And she said to me, there wasn't supposed to be anything in it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm thinking to myself, what is wrong with her? How's she twisting me up in this game? And then she says, I knew that you were stressed out. And I wanted to send you this empty box because I knew you were dealing with all these problems. And I wanted you to put those problems in that box for you to understand that no matter what happens, when you open that box, those problems will still be there. So I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. That's kind of deep. A little bit too deep for me, but nonetheless, that was deep. So I named my problems. I'm in the middle of a war, just so you know. I named my problems. I put them in that box. I closed it up, and I took a nap. Naps, sleep is normally no more than 15 minutes long. So I was sleeping, and I woke up after 15 minutes. It was the best 15 minutes. I have not been able to replace that 15 minutes that I had over there maybe about 17 years ago now, 18 years ago now. Never been able to replace it because I named everything put in that box. So I try to do something similar to that when I have problems. And I still have that same box. But my point is that's one of the ways that I relax. I put my problems aside. Again, she knew what I was going through. If you think you're pulling it over on your wife, you're not pulling it over on her. She knows. She's just not addressing it. There's two people that always knows. One is God, and the other one is your wife. Because God puts it in her to know that stuff. So you want to talk to your spiritual leader. Talk to someone that you trust in the church. I mean, you owe it to yourself to do that. One of the things we fail to do is trust the church. We really consistently fall short there. So your relaxation comes from being in the Word. Your relaxation comes from being around folks that are just like you, that are broken just like you. They just walk this walk, trying to do the best they can, trying to walk in the Spirit, trying to be alive with, each other. So, again, what you want to do is you want to find that person. Your spiritual health is just as important as your physical health. You want to take a break. I mean, you owe it to yourself to give yourself a break. One thing we often don't do is set aside time just for us to take a break and call it that. Call it a break. I'm going to take a break. Even in the middle of the day, sometimes some of us go to work and we work from the time we get there to the time we leave. That 1 hour lunch is a half an hour lunch. We short ourselves in really something that can really allow us to be more focused at work. Even if we take a minute and just walk outside, get some, just get away from that desk, get away from that normal everyday thing you do, just to purge yourself of that stress. Sometimes you sit there and say, I'm going to work at my desk. I'm going to eat at my desk. No, you shouldn't eat at your desk. What you should do is go to the break room and eat, because that place is where you work. And mentally, even if you're not there, you might open up an email here, you might do something there, you might address it, you might address something, some paperwork that's on your desk while you're eating. You're calling it lunch, but you're not taking a break. So take a break. How many of y'all do that? How many of y'all just work right through lunch? Yeah. I kind of do that. I got to be honest. But sometimes I'm smart and I tell myself, let me get out of this space. One thing that COVID has done for me is to allow me to do that. Because what it has done is, in my work, I telework. So because I telework, I'm at home, so the lunchroom is just across the hall. So I can just walk to the lunchroom and take a break, where the lunchroom was a little bit further. I'm more apt to really take my break. Now, I'm more apt to work longer at home, but I'm more apt to take a break, which is needed, okay? And then you want to, remember what I told you, I was telling you about that box? That's listing the sources of your stress. Because oftentimes we think certain things are not stressful, and even some of the good things in our lives are stressful. Causes us stress. So we have to name those things so we can list them, and then the next one is so we can prioritize those things. What about those stresses make it the priority for the day? So again, that allows you to focus. That allows you to be fit. That allows your stress to be reduced because you're checking those things off the block as you need to get them done. Okay, fitness is not just about doing the push-ups. It's not just about the body work exercise. It's just not about the flexibility or the aerobic or anaerobic work. It's about getting your mind right as well. It's about relaxing, eliminating stress. I'm going to touch a nerve here. You need to get appropriate amount of sleep. You need to get appropriate amount of sleep. There should be a certain time in the day where you say, I'm cutting the phone off. Some of us, just before we go to bed, that's when we set the phone aside to charge for the next day. I'm guilty of that too. I got to be better about shutting that phone off so I can spend healthy time with my dog, with the most important person in the house, my wife, those type of things. That phone is not really a priority in my life. As a matter of fact, it is causing me not to get the appropriate amount of sleep. So set that thing aside, make sure you take care of yourself in that regard. So working on a personalized technique for yourself. Now, what I mean by a personalized technique is something that probably you may even know about it. It's probably worked in the past. When I first walked in here, by the way, Pastor, you had some great jazz going on. For me, that relaxes me. The last thing you want to do is when you get in your car, getting ready to go to that work on that Monday morning, you plan some stuff that's really got your mind worked up. Some very stressful, high-powered work. Yeah, some high-powered song and stuff like that. No, turn it to something relaxing. Start talking to yourself while you're in the car. I'm going to have a good day. Pray while you're on the way. You know, this person is not going to stress me out today. Lord, give me the strength to be able to deal with this person in a professional way, show them love the way you intend for me to show them love. So get yourself prepared for that drive, because that drive, you know, I don't know about you, but the music dictates the speed, the RPMs in which I drive. Anybody ever had that happen? Your music. Now, if I'm playing jazz, I'm just chilling on a ride to work. I'm in no particular hurry. No, I don't care if it's 5 minutes before I got to be there, and I left 25 minutes late. I put on that jazz. I'm good to go. I'm going to be late anyway, so I might as well just take my time and be stress-free. You know, let somebody else get that ticket instead of me. So again, you don't want to start off your day with stress from a drive. Okay? So don't set yourself up that way. All right, so again, and it could be a walk. You can get up in the morning and walk your dog. You can get up in the morning. You know, one of the greatest things you can do to prepare yourself throughout the day, the first thing you can do is to pray. So even while you're laying in the bed, even while you're in the shower, the second best thing you can do is to say I love you to that person that you care most about. It can be your wife, it can be your mom, it can be your girlfriend, whoever that person is, say I love you. Not only is that beneficial for you as far as relieving your stress, it will relieve that person's stress, and you're liable to get a benefit later on. Oh, man. Now, I'm talking about food, I'm talking about everything. But I'm just being real with you. You're setting yourself, because that person, as soon as you walk in the door, they may text you and say, hey, I appreciate that. That just relieved your stress. You was dealing with something at work, and you look at, oh, that's pretty nice. Pretty good. I didn't expect that. It started by you planning, setting that seed for the rest of the day. So what is it? You also want to investigate relaxation techniques. You know, there's an awesome breathing technique. I learned it several years ago when I was in counseling school. I'll never forget it. It was a bunch of us in a class, and the doctor told us to just lean back in our chairs. And I'm not going to have you go through the exercise. But the doctor said, take a deep breath and let it go real slow. At the end of that breath, I want you to say relax. And I want you to say 100. So I did it. 100. Now I want you to do it again. I want you to say 99. I want you to count all the way back to 0. Okay? So I want you to do that same thing, count all the way back to 0. I got to be honest. I don't remember anything past 70. You know, that's just how quickly I went to sleep. And I was having problems going to sleep back then. So it's just one of those things. You take it 100. And you do that all the way until you to 1. And oftentimes you can't make it to 1. If you do it correctly, you are not going to be making it to 1. And I actually did that in my room one time, and you could hear people snoring. It was loud. It was a concert of snoring. I mean, it was really interesting to see how deep people got in that sleep when you give them permission to sleep. Oftentimes at night, we don't give ourselves permission to sleep. So then we wake up to that hustle and bustle the very next day. So we're going to talk a little bit about diets. And I may break some hearts here, but I want to be honest about diets, okay? Because we don't do ourselves justice when it comes to diets, and that's okay. But the power is knowing, okay? So the first thing is, again, it begins with a physical assessment. Are we seeing a trend here? Go see your doctor. Ask him how does everything look? You know, ask him certain things. Again, how did it measure up to last year? What can I eat? What shouldn't I eat? You know. Now you may need to see a nutritionist. Okay, and that's fine. You may need to see a nutritionist because that person is uniquely qualified to get you in the right places, which you should eat based on your goals, based on your fitness goals, okay? Because all this is related to fitness. So again, you may have an idea that I want to eat right, but you may want to achieve certain things. You may want to build muscle. You may want to be leaner. So your doctor may say, you may think, well, I need to be at a 200-calorie diet. And your doctor may say, No, you need to be at a 3,000 calorie diet because you just employed a fitness routine. So the last thing you want to do is decrease your energy by a fitness routine and at the same time decrease your food intake. Everybody understood what I just said? So you're going to be walking around like a zombie because you're tired all the time. So you might want to see a nutritionist. Or you might want to maintain the food you're eating right now because you just employed a fitness routine. Okay? So, again, also, you know your body. Oftentimes, you got to do your own research. You know, what will work for you? So, I also like to say rethink diet. I personally believe that diets are appropriate for short-term periods. Meaning, maybe you got a milestone birthday coming up, and I want to lose a certain amount of weight. You know, maybe more than what's natural. Instead of 1 or 2 pounds a week, you want to lose 4 to 6 pounds a week, okay, for a short period of time. Maybe you're getting ready to get married. You know, maybe a good friend of yours getting ready to get married, and they're going to take pictures, and you want to look right in those pictures. So, again, your short period of time. Traditionally, outside of that, I don't believe in diets. You know, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm going to say that again, but I don't believe in diets. I believe that your workout should be congruent with how you eat and not diet, okay? Because when we're talking about eating, we're talking about standards and not dieting. Everybody just heard what I just said? Standards and not dieting. So standards may be when you get to that nutritionist, they may say that you should eat, instead of 3 times a day, you should eat 4 times a day or maybe even 5 times a day. Just lower those portions. And make sure the duration is no more than 2 to 3 hours apart, okay? Therefore, your body is always burning. Therefore, you're not overweight, overloaded with food and tired throughout the day. You know, I don't know about you, but I used to eat bad, meaning I would eat 1 or 2 times a day, but just would blow it up. Boy, I would go into a place that was a buffet, and I would close the place down. Guilty. I've actually got kicked out of a buffet before. I got to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not sure if you ever experienced that, but I got kicked out of a buffet before. But that wasn't good for me because I was tired, I was lethargic, I went to sleep. And the worst thing you can do is go to sleep on a full stomach. You know, that's not only is it painful, not only do you wake up with cramps, not only does that stuff just sit there, but your body go into camel mode. So you literally just gain weight, you know, because your body don't know when the next time it's going to eat. Because you only ate once or twice a day. But when you spread that out, you are not lethargic. You are in a steady state throughout the day because you are eating the way your body meant to be eating, you know. Some people say, I get friends that say they graze throughout the day. You know, that's fine. They're eating several times a day, and their body is never tired. Me, I just eat maybe 4 or 5 times a day. On my days that I work out, I'm eating 5 times a day because my body needs it. On the days that I don't, I'm eating 4 times a day because my body don't need that. But there's a certain calorie that I'm shooting for too. You know, I'm shooting for 3,000 calories a day. On the days that I'm working out, I'm shooting for 3,500. So, again, because I'm working out, so I'm expending that energy, and I'm also burning a lot of calories too. But I'm also aware of what I'm eating. I'm not dieting. I'm aware of what I'm eating. Everybody understood what I just said? I'm not dieting. I'm living by a standard, okay? So if I go to a party and somebody tries to serve me cake, it's not that I can't eat that. I say I don't eat that, you know, because I'm choosing not to eat it, okay? Now, some of you may have diet restrictions. Follow that. Again, that's why you get assessed by your doctor. But outside of that, if you have a choice, and even if you have a diet restriction, that's still a choice because you can go off the deep end of that diet. But if you choose it, you're more likely to stay with it than if you don't, okay? So if I choose not to eat cake because I choose not to eat cake. I may change that sweet tooth to something else. My wife does well with making protein or pancakes out of protein powder. She's got this protein powder that just is the bomb. She's made brownies out of it, and it's great when you enlist your family into this too, because then the cooks in your family try to find unique ways to do some of the same things that you want to do. So see where they are at too. When you're talking about diet, when you're talking about workout, one of the best things you can do for yourself is enlist someone in that household. Ask them what they want to achieve as far as fitness and goals and stuff like that. Well, why don't you cook and I'll work on the fitness plan. I'll explore the fitness plan. So you become a team in that effort to make sure you both are fit in that house. That's the easiest way to do it because you're pushing each other. Now, I always tell you, don't measure yourself by somebody else's goals. That's where you can fall. If that person lost 10 pounds in a month, you don't know how they lost it, number one. Two, body chemistry is different. Two, so long as you're gaining, you're doing what you're supposed to do. And it may just be your workout routine, meaning you are consistent with your workout routine. You may have not lost weight, but you're consistent, you're feeling better, you're feeling more confident about the fact that you got a program going. Maybe that person lost 10 pounds and you lost 1 pound. Well, I lost a pound. That's something to celebrate, okay? So again, your repetition is the skill that you're building off of. Number two is the skill will still eventually become something that you can measure in your own mind, meaning maybe a pound. And you may not see the weight loss. You may see the difference in your clothing. Everybody understand what that's typically with men. Men tend to lose weight. Women tend to see a difference in their clothing. But even men, because we gain muscle, everybody gains muscle, that will weigh more than fat. So therefore, there will be some places where you may think you're not gaining. In reality, you are gaining because your pants are a little bit looser, but you're gaining muscle in your chest, your arms, your legs, whatever the case may be. That's where your gains are coming from. The gains are not often where you can measure it as far as weight. It may be endurance as well. You may wake up and say, wow, I feel good. Or you may gain flexibility in how you're stretching. You're not as sore. But it comes over time because you're going to lay down there and say, wow, this is not worth it. I feel worse stretching. You know what I'm saying? Once you get at a certain age, you feel worse stretching. But I have friends now that can't get into a Indian style seat. And there's nothing wrong with that. They just haven't worked on flexibility. But I've been working on that for a long time. So I said, I'm going to get back to that position where I can be flexible and sit Indian style and play with kids or play with my dogs and stuff like that. I don't want to not play because I can't get in that position. So I started to work on my flexibility. Now I can get back in Indian style because when I was a young Marine, we used to sit like that for hours. Like it was no problem. Then I remember one time I tried to get into that, and I was like, wait, let me see if I can, get some help down. And then when I got down there, I couldn't cross my legs. So I said, I got to work this out. So you may have certain goals that you're trying to achieve. Right now, I'm truly working on flexibility. That's me touching my toes. That's me getting in certain positions. I'm not trying to build a wall here. But what I am trying to do is there's certain goals that I may have that's unique to me that I want to take advantage of. And I feel that I can get there. And because I've gotten some of those, because it may not be the huge thing about being totally flexible, but I may get closer to one of my goals. So again, celebrate those small wins. Oops, I went back. So again, we're talking about short-term, long-term goals. Remember, like I said, one short-term goal may be that you touch your toes with your legs expanded out like this. Then you may even bring them in closer. Then all the way to the point where you can bend down and touch your toes from this position. One goal may be the push-up, just like we said. We start on a wall, then we start on the countertop, then we start on the ground. Okay? So short-term, short-term, medium goals to those long-term goals of success. So how do I get to that push-up? I know I want to do a push-up, but how do I get there? So you build a plan to get there. So I want to be on the wall for the first week. Then I want to be on the countertop for the next 2 weeks. Then I want to be on my knees for 1 week. Then I want to do my first push-up. So however it is for you, you want to talk to someone who might have experience doing that. So again, I just want to sum up the diet thing is, see a nutrition. I do believe dieting is okay for a particular purpose. But generally, if your spirit is right and you got a workout plan, your mind is going to say, I don't want to throw that away. That's where your mind is at. Have you ever had at least 2 of those going, and have you ever been on a workout plan and said, hey, I'm doing pretty good. I don't want to have that cake, And it may even start, some people, for me, when I first started working out, I committed myself to parking further away from wherever I was going. My wife didn't like that, but but I just told her, sweetheart, you got to take some comfortable shoes. If you're going, because I drive everywhere. She never drives. We just realized that she got a car that's been sitting in the driveway, and she's only put 1,000 miles over this whole year on her vehicle. Because I drive everywhere, But my point is, you do have a choice. You can drive yourself, or you can ride with me, But I'm going to park far away because I'm looking at my health. That's when I first started off, several years back, trying to once I got out the military and I gained that 30, 40 pounds, I was like, oh, wait a minute. You mean to tell me I got to get all new clothes? I was cheap, so I was like, that ain't happening. We're going to have to fit back into these clothes, So that started my fitness plan right there. I'm like, hey, I'm not buying new clothes. So I just said, I'm going to start off parking too far. Then I'm going to start off walking. Then I got into a gym. Then I started to teach at the gym. And that made my commitment because I got to show up for other people now. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I always say having a friend, devoting yourself to a friend, then you commit it to them, they commit it to you, and then you make sure that happens, And you may be saving somebody else's life in your family. Somebody else who may not see that repetition going on, and they may get proud of you, and they may decide based on you doing what you're doing, I need to be competitive with them, I don't know about you, but me and my wife is competitive. And when she saw me doing what I was doing in the gym, she said, let me start going with you. Let me start taking your class. You know what I'm saying? So, again, you're working this thing out. If you got someone that is a friend, somebody you're close to, get with them and see if they have a similar journey. So let's talk a little bit about what we talked about. We talked about the mindset of fitness. And the mindset, just changing your vocabulary instead of I can't to one, I can, with realistic goals. Number 2 is instead of I can't, saying I don't. Choosing, making a choice yourself instead of saying, putting it on somebody else or, my wife won't let me do it or something like that. That's what we like to say, my wife won't let me do that. But the truth of the matter is I choose not to drink because I know what it's going to do to my body. I choose not to have that cake because I know I'm going to feel lethargic. I choose to eat 4 times, and you got to set yourself up because whatever you put in that refrigerator, you're going to take care of. You're going to eat it, okay? So oftentimes when we had Thanksgiving dinner, as much as I like macaroni and cheese, the way my wife make it, y'all need to take this out the house because I ain't got the willpower. When it comes to M&Ms, can't keep it in the house. I ain't got the willpower for M&Ms. Maybe you do. My wife does. She can have something in the freezer forever. She can forget it's in the freezer. She go back in the freezer and it's gone. And she like, why is it gone? It was in the freezer. It been there a week. What was you expecting me to do? I found it. You know what I'm saying? How many of you fell for, do that? Yeah, so they can do that. We can't. I don't set myself up for that. She'll bring stuff in the house. I'm like, why you bring that? I don't have that. I don't have that kind of ability. So I let her know I enlist her in that program as well, okay? But you have a mindset. And then you have to pick a regimen that's for you. That regimen has to be for you, and you practice it. It becomes a part of your daily schedule when you at least commit to it for 21 days or a month and say, I'm going to do this. Write it on a plan. Write a plan out that this is what I'm going to do. And start with something basic. Start with body weight. I always say start with body weight exercises first, because that's something you can do in the house. You can do sit-ups anywhere. You can do, sit-ups are great. People always say sit-ups. I say crunches, because sit-ups is bad for your back. So lift your leg up and do some crunches, or hang and do some knee-ups. Most of us want the lower core working, so the easiest way to work on, when you bring your knees up, you're working your lower core. When you bring your body down, you're working your upper core. So you can do all this you want, but all you're doing is right here. If you want to get down here by the groin area, then you need to bring your knees up. So any exercise where you're bringing your knees up, you're working that lower core. So again, find the right exercise regimen. And again, we talked about the different types of training regimens, and we talked about relaxation techniques. When we talk about relaxation technique, what works for you? Is it music? Is it walking? Is it playing jazz? Is it dancing? Whatever works for you. Is it meditating? Is it praying? What are some of those things that work for you? If it's worked for the past, start to employ them and make them a part of your routine. Put it in your schedule. Your schedule shouldn't just be your workout. It should be your relaxation techniques, okay? And then eliminating stress. The easiest way to eliminate stress is to name the stress you have. That's number one. Name that stress, and then understand what do you have to deal with first. And number two, recognize that stress will be there. So give yourself a pardon for that stress, at least for a certain amount of time throughout the day, especially to focus on work, focus on your relationship with your significant other. Give yourself time to say, I know the stress is over there, but let me focus here for a moment, okay? And make it a conscious effort. And then diets. When you think about a diet, I want you to reimagine a diet and change diet to standard. What is my nutritional standard for me? Because that nutritional standard may involve cake, but it may not involve the big slices you've been taking. Because me, again, my nutritional standard says that after Thanksgiving, I got to make sure that food is out of here. I enjoy it. I love it. It's great, but I need to make sure it's out of it. And I don't have to sit at one meal and try everything. Everybody just understood what I just said? I don't have to try everything. I say that because that's how the plate looks when I'm done. I don't have to try everything, because it's like, half an hour after that meal, I'm lethargic. I can't do anything else. I can't help clean up because I didn't partake in so much that I can't. So I'll be honest with you. I'll make myself, this is how I conquer that situation. I make myself 2 plates. I make myself a plate of the stuff that I really want to eat right now. Then I make myself a plate of the stuff I want to taste and stuff like that. And I set that aside, in a container, so I can try that and be respectful to all that other food that was made that really didn't fit on that one plate. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to pile it up and make me feel tired the rest of the day. So when I go to barbecues and stuff like that, I already tell myself what I'm going to eat. If I see it there, I tell myself, yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna do that in. I'm gonna take care of some of that too. But I make sure that I set myself up right, because I know the after effects. I don't know about you, but I feel sick. I feel tired. I feel lethargic after I eat. Our bodies don't process that food the way it is. When we think about vitamins, and this will be the last thing, consult your nutritionist, consult your doctor. See where your levels are at, because there's certain vitamins that I take, certain things that I take that get me through the day that truly works wonders for me. So you definitely, and me, I'm not a vitamin pill type of person. I'm not. Don't work. It has never worked for me. I'm a gummy type of person. They make gummies for everything. There is gummies for everything that's out there. So I don't mind paying a little extra for gummies. Now, it depends on who you are. Maybe you can take those vitamins. I'm not consistent with that plan, but I found the gummies, I'm very consistent with those. I don't like paying the money, but I'm still very consistent when I, taking my gummies. So that's the biggest thing about diets. I want to do quickly and show you a couple of things that I work with, that I enjoy working with. Number one, I want to show you a mat. Everybody that does something at home should have a mat. Reason why I say you should have a mat is because you will do it if you have a mat, okay? If you have a mat, you'll do it, whether it's stretching, whether it's body weight exercises. If you have a carpet or hard floor, the benefit for both, because one, if you sweat, you're not worried about it being on the carpet. Number two, if it's on the floor, one, you don't have to clean it up. You just wipe up the mat. And two, it gives you that cushion in between you and the floor. So that's number one. You should always have you a mat. These are just some of the things that I use. I cycle, so I got cycle shoes. I found the cheapest ones I can find, and I've had these. They look new, don't they? I've had these for 3 years. So I do indoor cycle. You can see where the rust is because I've walked on the ground a little bit. So cycle shoes for indoor cycle. They're not like Jordan, so they're not going to cost you that much. And I want to really show you this because, again, we're talking about over 40. I happen to be over 50. I want to show you something else too, water. Let me start with this water. I always carry water with me. They say you should be drinking something every 15 minutes, okay? So you should be drinking something every 15 minutes. You want to stay hydrated. So that's number one. That's probably my go-to is my water. But I also have anybody know what this is? This is a massage gun, okay? Now, I did a review of several massage guns, and the really good ones range about $200 to $400, This is a med cursor. I've had this for probably about 2 months now, and I love it. $89. $89. Boy, this thing can talk to you, boy. It done messed up some knots on me. And my wife loves it as well. So I have a massage gun. And if you are just starting out, one of the best things you can do is buy you some bands. Don't buy you any weights, anything like that. Buy you some bands. And buy you some bands. This set cost me $40. I think it was like $30. Most of this I got on Amazon. So I'm not getting any endorsements or anything like that. You ain't got to follow me on Instagram and click the link below. This is just me telling you what may work. But this is bands, and the reason why I like it, because you can see the loops there. You can add different bands to add more weight to it. Right now, this band is 13 pounds. So when I do bicep curls, I'm curling 13 pounds. So as an example, I just want to show you just what you do here. Step on it. You just step on it, and you just, again, bicep curls. And you want to slow on the, you got the concentric and the eccentric. Contracting, and then the eccentric is when you release. So you release it nice and slow, bring it up, and you can do several different exercises. You can do squats on these as well. You can do overhead shoulder presses. So, and they have other different types. Thank you, sir. They got other different types of bands and stuff like that where you can do it off of walls. So to me, it's a great set. I do have some free weight curls, but since I got that, I almost never use them. So if I do free weights, I'm kind of in the gym, so it's almost a moot point at home because I can take this to the job. I can do sets in between and stuff like that at work. So I try to, if I'm going to incorporate this lifestyle, I do it throughout the day. So again, because when I come home, I want to spend quality time at home. I'm not the 2-hour person at a gym and socialize and look pretty and try to pick up somebody in the gym. That's not me. I get in there, I get my workout on, I come home. I'm really focused. If you're in a gym for 2 hours, you're not maximizing that time. You should be in that gym 45 minutes unless you're taking a class. 45 minutes should be the max. Some of these exercises you can do in 15, 20 minutes. So why go to the gym? Do it at home. So there's a lot of things that I've learned about fitness that I was not taking advantage of. So any questions? Any questions from anybody out there? Okay. So we got a question coming.
Okay, testing. All right. So I have a couple of questions. So I have my workout plan on my phone. I'll just go ahead and just kind of show you what I've been doing. But the problem that I've been having is my diet thing. So I've been doing that since January. Going to the gym. We'll start off with 3 times a week. Then I went to 4. But the discouraging part on my part is that I do 2 things that's really bad. I eat a lot of sweets. Mm-hmm. I'm doing sweets on the weekend thing, but then I kind of fell backwards during the week because my wife, she sure enough know how to cook. And I don't have good willpower. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is that I found myself that I don't like to try to eat the 5 times a day, because when I eat 5 times a day, it seems like I blow up. I actually tried that, and it's like I don't get thin. I feel great, but it seems like I do the 2 big meals a day. Yeah, I mean I do the lunch, and then I do the heavy dinner, and I work out before I have the heavy dinner, and that's been the cycle. So how do you get past the five times a day?
Yeah. Well, your workout plan is good. I like the way you broke it down. Now, his workout plans, he got it set up by days, body parts and stuff like that. This is how my workout plan looks, almost similar to this. So I do the same thing. I set it up by days, and mine's kind of set up by times too. Okay. But as far as planning to eat, that's what you got to do. You literally got to plan to eat. And I'm not saying that you're just not efficient that way. Your body wasn't meant to work that way, to eat 2 big meals. Some people do what is known as intermittent fasting. It works for some people. But if it's not working for you, and maybe part of it is types of food that you do as well, but you should never eat a huge meal anything past 8 o'clock. Because typically, you need that hour, an hour and a half to digest before you go to sleep. If you eating at 9, 10 o'clock and you're going to sleep at 11 o'clock, what ends up happening is your body is just storing it right into fat. So all those gains that you did, all those workouts that you did, you're really almost nullifying that. And then throughout that workout, you're not achieving your best because you don't have the right amount of energy stored up to have that quality workout. You may feel like you're having a quality workout, but you may not be feeling your right potential. I would suggest that you start with 3 meals a day. Appropriately space them out. Because I don't eat, when I say 4 to 5 meals, I'm not eating 4 to 5 meals, in a sense. I'm not taking like eggs in the morning, and then I'll do chicken in the afternoon. Then I'll do maybe some a salad medley with some chicken, and maybe I'll do some beef toward my last meal. I don't do it like that. What I'll do is I normally do some eggs in the morning. I do that, and then I'll probably have some yogurt, and then I'll have my lunch, and then I'll have a power bar just before I go to the gym. Then I'll have my dinner, with my wife. So that's kind of how I do that. So they're not full meals. They may be meal replacements. I may even do a protein shake instead of that yogurt, or do a protein shake before I go to the gym, you know. So again, I'm not doing the full meals, but I am doing meal replacement or protein bars or something like that. So I have the energy to hit the gym when I hit the gym, or have the energy for longevity throughout the day, you know. But again, my biggest meal is normally that lunch meal, you know, or if I eat dinner, if I know that my wife is going to cook a dinner that I like, that I want to eat that night or whatever the case may be, then I'll eat it early. And normally our meal prep on a non-gym day, I'm eating like at 5, 6 o'clock, you know. On a gym day, because I don't get back until 8 o'clock, then I'm eating, you know, like a smaller meal, you know. So again, just to give me that energy, so I won't, you know, want to chump down the refrigerator. I won't be going in the refrigerator. I didn't get enough, so let me eat the rest of this. I didn't get enough. Let me go in that cupboard. I want to go ahead and get this. You know, I don't know about you, but I've done that before. I go in there and I'll rip out, you know, the cupboards, you know, because my body is not full, is not satisfied. The other thing about eating, you should eat a meal and prepare a small plate and give yourself 20 minutes after you done eaten that last bite before you decide whether you're going to eat another meal. Because it takes your body that much longer to feel that meal and for it to fill you up. You know, but your brain is not on the same level as your stomach. So your stomach may be good and full, but your brain has not caught up to that yet. So therefore, you think you're full, you think you're not full, but your body is not digested to the point where your body is telling your brain you're full. So that may cause you an issue as well. The other trick is hydration. Hydration always puts you in the right place as far as how much you should eat. Typically, they say before you eat, you should drink 8 ounces of fluid. Before you take your first bite, you should have drank 8 ounces of water. Typically water, Powerade, Gatorade, whatever the case may be. You can drink that just before you eat, something low calorie, because you want your calories from food, not from sugary drinks. Okay, so you drink that 8 ounces and then you eat. You know, so if you know, like my wife does most of the cooking. If you know she's cooking, you can smell it. Drink right then. Drink that 8 ounces right then, and then just before you sit down, you done already ate. I mean, you done already drank that 8 ounces. Then you can drink something while you're eating. You know, oftentimes we'll eat, then we'll drink after we eat. No, you should drink, then eat and drink at the same time. Then you'll feel yourself full up quicker.
Yeah, because I think one of the things my biggest problem is that having muscles with a stomach and love handles.
Yeah. I mean, and there's honestly there's nothing wrong with that. But the point is, what is your goal? If your goal is to trim that down, then you got to be a little bit more methodical. Not too much, not outrageous, because most people, they go too far. And honestly, I didn't achieve my size and my weight by any of those drastic means. What I did was, I just was mindful to everything. All those components up there, I was just mindful to them all, and they all, because I was mindful, I didn't want to lose one gain at the sacrifice to another. So what I did was, I did them all. So there are some times that I'll eat, sweets, but I just don't make it a regular thing. And I certainly don't buy it for the house. I certainly don't endorse my wife to make it. And when she does bring it, I kind of give her grief about bringing it in the house, because neither one of us wants that. That's not I've talked to her. That's not a part of her plan as well. So we kind of work with each other on that, and even if we do get snacks, we get low-calorie snacks. We try to stick that way. Now, every time it's not going to be the same thing. And normally when we want it. But we are conscious to say, if I get it this time, it may be 2 weeks before I get it again.
Okay. And then one other question that I had was in regards to like aerobics, I did 10 minutes, but I'm thinking now that 10 minutes is not enough. So like during a normal workout week, how do you fit your, because like I played football and I messed up my knee. So the bike is like the easiest thing that I got to do in order for me to do that. And so that works out for me because I like action.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the aerobic stuff, what are some of the aerobic exercises do you do during the week? Do you do aerobics plus lifting weights, or like what I was trying to do this spring in my brain was I'm going to bulk up during the wintertime and spring, and then as I go into the summer, I was going to cut up. I was thinking about getting some caffeine, but you know, I'm just reading a whole bunch of stuff on the internet. So, you know, how do you fit aerobics in there? Because I hate doing aerobics, but
Well,
you know.
I will tell you, when you think about aerobics, you should do something you like. Me, I did not like, I could not run anymore, you know, because of my knees. I could not run anymore, but I enjoy the euphoria that I used to get from running. I enjoy the euphoria I used to get from playing football and stuff like that. I can't play those contact sports anymore because I feel it. So I love that euphoria, that teamwork. So I just started to do team stuff. I started to, like, I got another friend that cycles, but he does outdoor cycling. I don't trust people on the road and stuff like that. So if I do cycle, I get bikes. If we do cycle, we take it in the parks. Now, for me, riding in the parks is not going to get me that workout that I need. So I have an indoor cycle. And then I teach a cycle class. And in those cycle classes, whether it be an indoor class, and you can buy an app too. They have, iFit's got an app. That's NordicTrack uses them. Peloton has a nice app as well. Personally, I like the iFit app a little better than NordicTrack because iFit's got trails and stuff like that. You can also do Google Maps and do a Google map of your own neighborhood and essentially ride in your own neighborhood. So there's certain things that I do, treadmills, stuff like that, brisk walking on a treadmill and stuff like that, because you want that low impact. You know, for people who do not want that high impact, they may not even want to walk on the roads and stuff like that because you're still walking on cement and stuff like that or uneven grass. So I often tell people, go on a treadmill, go on a Stairmaster. You know those Stairmasters, if you ever go in the gym, people are stepping on them and you see them nice and bulky and stuff like that. How do they work out and they do that? I'm thinking to myself, that don't look like that's doing anything. I got on that mug and I was like, hold it, wait a minute. This is crazy. You know, so again, those type, you know, with a sense of speed that will, you know, build up a sweat, but allow you to have that longevity so you can do it at least 20 minutes. Because you want, for an aerobic exercise, you want at least 20 minutes. You know, you got to have that 20-minute threshold. And then you may do a body part. Come out and just do a body part on that particular day. Me, because I'm not seriously weightlifting, I do aerobic exercises 3 days a week because I teach cycle 3 days a week. I teach a HIIT class 1 day a week, and I'm in the gym strictly weightlifting 1 day a week. So now teaching the class of HIIT is not taking a HIIT class. I teach the class, and then I do my own workout before and after the class. So I take about 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after to do my own. So I'm only working out for 30 minutes. Okay, the rest of that is my job. I'm only working out for 30 minutes on that Tuesday, which is tomorrow. Like on a Monday, typically I'll do my cycle class that's 45, 50 minutes. And then I'll take a body part, maybe legs. Typically I'll do a leg on a Friday and not necessarily on a day that I'm on a cycle because my legs are rubber by that time. But I'll do like chest. I do core every day I'm in the gym because that's a resilient muscle. So but I also will break it up. I'll break up the core. So whenever you do core, you should always do your lower core first because that's the one that's the most traumatic to your body. You know, that takes the most energy. Then you do your upper core. Again, as I said earlier, anything lower core, you bring your knees to your chest. Upper core, you bring in your chest to your knees. So, and then you can do oblique exercises and stuff like that. But, so that's how I break it up. 3 days, because my goal is to stay slim, okay? So if I need to stay slim, I'm heavy on aerobic exercises. You may only need to do 2 days of aerobic exercises, especially if you're in a cut plan and you still want to gain that muscle. So, but I would also suggest that you need to be doing abdominals anywhere from 5 to 7 days a week. Now, you know what abdominals is? That may just be 3 sets. That may just be 3 sets. You may do that just before you take your shower. So you're only doing probably about a max of 100 reps. So you may do 3 sets. Now I'm doing probably about 400 every night, 400 reps every night. So for me, it's taking a little bit longer because I got that 400 rep max baseline. So that's my baseline. I'm doing 400. If I get more than that, I'm excited. But normally I'm doing 400. So I'll do 100, 2 sets of 100 bicycles. Then I'm doing not planks. Planks are very good. I like planks. I'll throw those in, and I'll do what is known as I want to show you something.
6-inch killer.
Hold on. So I'll do these. I'll get in a plank position, and I'll just bring it here,
Okay.
and I'll do probably about 40 sets of those, or I'll do these. I really probably should have my mat. I'll take my feet up like this, come up. Those are called Spider-Mans.
Okay.
And get in that position and figure it out. And then I'll bring it here, bring it up, and I'll do probably about 3 sets of 10 these. Bring it all the way down here, bring it up, down, up, and down. So for me, again, I'm doing about 400 reps. But you, to start off, I would say you should be doing a max of 100 reps 5 times a week. Yeah, for your core.
No stumping in like 6 months because I kept on hearing that doing abdominals don't do nothing.
Now, if you're riding a bike, you're engaging your core. A lot of people don't know that. But when you're riding a bike, because of how you got to plant your body, if you have that neutral spine, you're engaging your core as well, okay? So the only time you're not engaging your core is when you're upright on that bike. If you ride and you have your handlebars right there, you're not engaging your core. But if you got your hands any part of that bike, your core is engaged. That's why I always say a bike is good because not only is it you're engaging your triceps, more so your triceps and your core and your legs. So it's tricep, core, and legs. Maybe a little bit of chest, depending on if you're going up and down. Now, if you're in a cycle class, if you're in my cycle class, then you're doing chest as well. So,
Yes, I had two things. Cause I'm in the process. I'm working on like slimming down.
yeah.
Like at my heaviest, I topped out at about 479.
Wow.
I'm down to about 330 now.
Oh, that's good action.
Yeah, so I've lost about 140.
Now, how did you? If I can ask, how did you lose the weight right now?
It was a lot of lifestyle changes.
Okay, good.
Just I guess my biggest thing was moving away from my parents' house and the way that we ate at my parents' house. Incorporating a lot of drinking water instead of sugary stuff. That was the biggest thing.
My wife has the saying, I'd rather eat my calories than drink them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So my main thing now is the first thing is I'm slimming down and everything, but it's like a lot of extra stuff still there.
Yeah.
A lot of extra skin and stuff. So the best way is to like kind of combat that and tighten everything up. The second thing is getting back my mobility, being able to, because I have a partially paralyzed left foot from sports injury, so I don't have the ability to lift my foot all the way, so I can't sprint and things like that, and doing certain things are kind of dangerous. So I guess the best way to get back mobility and things like that.
Very good. Flexibility, that's your game. Flexibility also give you that ability to stabilize with that injury. So I would do a lot of single standing movements, even just literally just whatever is the less dominant leg, just picking it up. Whatever is and I would start with the tip of the toe. Whatever is your worst position, you want to focus on working on that position. Like this knee is terrible for me, but I've been trying to work through my flexibility with that leg. If you see, most people can't get on their knees, especially on a solid floor like this, and sit. Now I can feel a Charlie horse coming there, but for the most part, most people can't do that. So it's taken me time to be able to do that. And then Indian style, you can just sit here, and if that's the bad leg, try to work on bringing it closer. So you may start off like this, but when you sit like this, you want to have perfect posture. So then you start to inch those feet up. Then you hold it there longer, and then you relax. Whew, I got to take it back out. You know what I'm saying?
Because my injured leg, because I also don't have an ACL in this knee.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But my injured leg is my dominant leg, so it's like the most flexible and everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of tough when I try to do certain exercises, and it's kind of scary because I don't have that stability.
Then you want to make sure you're not doing those exercises and modifying exercises. So, and that would be something you would work out with a personal trainer. That would also be something that you investigate. Because if you don't have an ACL, you can go on YouTube and best exercises without an ACL. Trust me, they'll come up. So then you work on those stability exercises that's specifically for you. And set aside the time and then set goals on. I would take a picture of your worst position so you know what it looks like. And then try to do better and try to work, pyramid style to try to get it closer to something that's for you. Because what's for me, I may not be able to do what you're doing by the time you finish that flexibility training. So you may have something unique that you can do that I can't do because I'm not focused on that. But I would take a picture of where you're at and then shoot for certain goals. And it may just be inches. So short-term goal maybe for the first week is the inches. Long-term goals maybe to bring it all the way back. So that's the easiest way to deal with it. What was your second question? I got your first question. What was your
The first question was the mobility, and the other question was trimming up my face.
Trimming up extra skin. There's two ways to do that. Now, I'm not a doctor. One is surgery. And number two is waiting till you lose all the weight that you are feeling like you're going to lose before you make any decision or consultation with a doctor. Okay, because the doctor may say there's certain areas that you see, because you may want to trim up that excess fat or excess skin, and you may not be done losing. So that should be a place you get to. And I've seen a lot of people on Instagram and YouTube who document what they're doing with their extra skin, how they're compensating, what clothes they're wearing to stabilize it while they work out. And then once they get to a point, the consultations they go through to make a decision as to what they're going to do with that extra skin. Because again, just like you said, it's in a way. Because you had such a large weight loss and you're still on that journey, you're going to have a lot of skin that's not going to go away. So you got to make a decision as to what's going to work out best for you. Again, consulting your doctor, your primary doctor, because your primary doctor will tell you what you can do, based on any other underlying medical conditions, and then consulting that maybe plastic surgeon that may do the work. But by that time, you can make a decision as to what do I need to do? Do I need to save for this? Is my insurance going to pay for this? So you got time because you're still losing weight. So make that something that may be a goal. Your plan should be the clothes you're going to wear to stabilize that excess fat because you still want to work out. You know. Now, can you walk? Do you do walking and stuff like that?
I walk, I jog and everything.
Okay.
I just can't sprint.
Yeah, but the thing is, even still with your weight, you still want to pick low impact exercises because your weight, it's not like me or the rest of us walking out there. You're carrying more weight than us. You know, technically you're carrying more weight than us. So if that's the case, you don't want to put all that weight on your knee because truthfully, your knees probably can handle more weight than our knees can handle because you've been carrying that weight for so long.
And I think I do the heavier, because my thing, the way that I always tend to try to work out is playing basketball.
Yeah.
Because where I may spend 10 minutes on the treadmill and I'm just like, I feel like I'm done. I could play basketball for 3-4 hours and,
Yeah.
you know, and still feel good.
Well, so long as it's not injuring your legs, do what you can do. Do what you can do. So us, you know, just by his head shake, me and him is in the same space. We're not going out there playing basketball anymore. You know, we're going to be on a bike. You know, we're going to be on a treadmill and stuff like that. Now, I do that every now and again, but I pay for it. So I know what my limitations are. Okay, good. Any other questions?
You're not on the mic.
I can't hear you here.
Someone does not eat breakfast and he drinks water till 12 noon and just have lunch, wants to know if that is healthy.
How many other meals does he have?
I don't know.
So let me try to answer that. Your body is equipped to perform certain things throughout the day. So you need that energy, and that energy comes from nutrients that you eat throughout the day. So I would say a nutritionist might tell you that it's probably to your benefit if you eat something earlier than noon, depending on what time you go to bed and, you know, if you're on a night shift. But typically, if you're getting up at 8 in the morning, which, you know, 7 to 8 in the morning like most folks get up, you want to have something to start that energy off, you know, and it can't just be a meal of champions coffee. You know, it's got to be like something that's going to nourish your body, eggs, you know, meat, you know, even vegetables, whatever you're typically used to eating. It doesn't have to be a breakfast because a lot of people don't like breakfast, so they don't eat breakfast. You know, they say I'm a lunch person or whatever the case may be, but you have to have something to nourish your body. So, and I think a nutritionist would say the same thing. Me as a personal trainer, I know even just going to work in the morning, if I don't eat, my body's programmed, you know, it's going to affect me the rest of the day. And it may not be something that person can touch, taste, or feel, but it's not adding to their performance throughout the day. By the time they eat, they're in starvation mode, and they're more likely to eat something that's not going to be beneficial to their body because you're working. It's almost like going to Walmart or to Publix shopping when you're hungry. You're buying all the nasty stuff and all the good stuff, you're leaving on the shelf. So I would encourage that person to think about that. Think about their nutritional needs as opposed to what they want to do, you know. Yeah, I think that's the best way to answer that.
Okay, and last question is, first, you mentioned seeking a doctor before getting a workout plan. For someone that does not have health insurance, what's the best affordable way for that person to get health insurance?
Now, that's a very good question because that's a health insurance question. And I'm not a health insurance expert, but the easiest way to do that is to search online. And honestly, I use YouTube a lot. And YouTube can tell you, even in Florida, what are some of the resources that I can get health insurance. And there's a website, I think it's called My Healthy Florida. And I'll shoot it to you, Pastor. And they will tell you all the resources, and healthcare is one of those resources that's probably the most searched, one of the most searched items on that platform. It's by DCF, Department of Children and Families. It's a platform that they built, and the platform is just a depository of services in Florida. So, but to answer the person, if they don't have health insurance, the question is, Have they had any other underlying health conditions? Do they traditionally work out? Do they traditionally see themselves as active? If they do traditionally see themselves active, they probably can do some body weight workout routines on their own and search for those on their own without having any issues. Generally, I would say yes, you want to see a doctor. And as soon as that person can, I would suggest that you kind of research where you can go to get a doctor through the healthcare portal. You know, hopefully that helps. Yeah, but I'll shoot something to him. Shoot something to the pastor from a resource bank that I have.
When I used to train more regularly and I was competing as I was younger, I used to work out maybe 4 times a week and sometimes twice a day. And I was guilty of, like, I used to go to the gym for usually 2 hours at a time, splitting workouts between weight training and cardiovascular in 30-minute increments.
Yeah.
You know, cardiovascular, get the blood going, and then doing a weight training, usually upper half. So I never did really focus on one part where, like, you might have someone who will have an arm day and just focus on arms and tries and bis and lats and stuff like that. I pretty much would split it up, cardio from then for weight, torso up, and so work on core, you know, lower, upper, and then for chest, back, and all the way up to even neck, and then cardio again, and then a lower body where I'm doing legs. And now that I'm older and I'm not competing, I find that, you know, a 2-hour stint in the gym is a lot harder for me to maintain. So now I find myself, because I can't maintain the same kind of physical standard that I had for myself before, establishing, like, it's like an unknown for me what my standard should be at. Now I'm 36. And so trying to establish what my standard should be sometimes gets a little depressing in my head, you know, knowing what it was.
And just like I said in the PowerPoint, don't hold yourself to that 18-year-old person.
Right.
For 2 reasons. One, that 18-year-old person was not looking for symmetry. True. See, right now, from what you're saying, you're looking for a total body picture.
Yeah.
You were just focused on what you needed to do to, really, you didn't have a focus. You were just competing, whatever sport you were competing in, and whatever you did, it was always upper body.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Submission, like, so I did like submission grappling, wrestling, mixed martial arts.
So the easiest way to get back into it is to do something where you write it down, because typically you didn't write it down. And you break those body parts down, and you break them down into 3 different days, because then you don't spend all day on the upper body, and it's useless time, because what happens is your body needs time to repair. Those muscle fibers break down, they repair, and they come back bigger and stronger and more resilient. But if you don't give your body time to repair, then you're not doing anything for your body, because they're not repairing. So they're always in that broken down state. So that's why, but your body as a young child was more resilient to that, more receptive to that. Although you had some gains, you didn't have your highest gains.
Right.
How people do it, and when you see people who are in there, I see people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they're massive, and they only work out 3 days a week, and they're only working out an hour and a half, 3 days a week. You would think that would just be a maintenance cycle. But they're really methodical as to what they're doing on those workout days. So again, they're picking body parts, and they're just working those out. And it may be, some people work out 7 days a week, but they're only working out 20 minutes a day. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, because they're only working they're working a certain body part to failure.
Okay.
And then they're off. And then they may come in the evening and do another 20 minutes, work another body part to failure, then they're done. They only did 40 minutes in one day.
I see.
You see what I'm saying? And then they go to the next day. And it may be, you know, I know a person that only works core 3 days a week. You know, and and he's got an 8-pack, and he is not doing nearly enough as much as I would think he can do. Maybe it's body chemistry. You know, some of that is body chemistry, metabolism, and stuff like that. But he's got his body so well orchestrated where he knows what he has to play when he has to play it in order to get that 8-pack. So again, but he only works his core 3 days a week. But he paces it out to the point where he knows he's doing certain things to failure, gives his body enough time to repair itself, failure, repair itself, okay? So again, your body needs that time to repair itself. So I think you can gain symmetry, especially your body composition. You know, you get 2 days of cardio and then 2 days of weight training. You can do your body composition. I can do some wonders with that. I'm just because you already have the size on you. Me, I can't gain size. I don't care how much I eat. Size is not. I gotta stop doing stuff in order to gain size. And then my body's not where I want it. So again, I'm fighting against the grain, you know, so to speak. But for you, and it may seem hard for you because of what your history has been with your workout regimen. The only thing that I see that you may have not done is committed it to a schedule. Yeah. As soon as you commit it to a schedule, look at it and say, what body part am I working? And just spend a time like he has done. Build Monday. And then spend time building Tuesday. But I would put it on a computer first because then you could play with it, you know, and decide, well, I should not be doing chest the same time as I'm doing deltoids, you know, because I should be doing chest the same time I'm doing deltoids because you can't do chest without doing deltoids, okay? But maybe I should do bis and tris the same day. You know what I'm saying? But I should not be doing bis, tris, and legs, you know? Or maybe you can. Maybe I can do bis, tris, and quads, you know? Maybe your next leg day, you're only doing hamstring 2 days later. You see what I'm saying? So you're not doing the whole legs. And then on your third leg day, you're just doing calves. You see what I'm saying? So you're doing legs every time you go to the gym. It's just different parts of your legs. You see what I'm saying? So you may do quads and chest. Obviously, deltoids is affected. You may do hamstring, bis, and tris. You see what I'm saying? And then you do maybe, and I'm just throwing stuff out there, you may just do 2 sets of abs. If you're working out 4 days a week, you may just do 2 sets of abs to failure. You know, so I may do bicycle crunches, or I may do, because bicycle crunches is not only lower abs, it's also upper abs. So I may do bicycle crunches, and I may do planks, you know, 2 sets of 30-second planks. Then I may do 2 sets of, as you progress, it may end up being 2 sets of 1 minute, 2 sets of, you may work yourself up to a couple of minutes. But so that's how you do it, and that's how you also progress. But first, put your exercise in something logical, you know. And then, before you even commit to it, give yourself, say, I'm going to give myself 2 weeks to set up a workout plan. Because you want it to make sense where you're not walking around and your whole body's in failure. You know, because most times when people go to the gym, the next day their whole body's in failure. So that's what you don't want to do, because you need more time to recover. So it may be 3 days, and you've lost those gains because you spent too much time off. So again, take that one body part, chest, deltoids. You may do back and rear deltoids. You may do quads, you know, and bis and tris. So again, you break them up. This way you're only spending 30, 40 minutes because you're going from one exercise to another exercise, and that's it. The legs are done. Then you do one exercise, 2 exercises, and bis and tris is done. 40 minutes, you're done. You know, and you're making it efficient. And you can still throw a set of abs in there. Yeah. It's not the amount of exercises you do, it's how smart you do it.
Okay, we got it. One last question, then we're going to go ahead. because we don't put him into overtime.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess it was kind of two questions. Like, what exactly does it mean to be a failure? The next one is how long does it typically take for your muscles to heal?
Failure and then recovery. How do you get into workout failure and then recovery? That's the last question.
So failure is you doing your max. So if I was doing bicycle crunches, as we were talking about abs, I'll do as many as I can until I can't do no more. But I'm doing as many as I can with the proper technique until I can't do any more. Once I'm done with that, I did failure in that first in that first set. And then I do 2 sets of failure, okay? So body recovery, it normally takes, and it depends on the person, they normally say 48 hours for recovery before you should go back to that same exercise. So you want to have 48 hours off to recover, for those muscle fibers to build, for the lactic acid to normalize. You at least 48 hours, okay? So did I answer both of those questions?
Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
Y'all put your hands together for Omar Bohler.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me, Pastor.
Thank you
as
so much.
always.
Thank you so much. And so to everyone that's watching on this particular evening, God bless you. I know that we're going to be having this is recorded, and you'll be able to view this at a later time. But just want to thank my brother so much for coming on out and telling us old men to get in shape, because I want to be a pastor that sticks around for a long time. I'm 45. I'll be 46 this year. So I want to make sure that I get my stomach. So you just told me 2 things I didn't want to hear. Less sweets, and I got to do abs. I figure if you could just have your chest bigger than your stomach, that's all you had to do.
Yeah.
Once again, everybody put your hands together for Omar Bohler,
Thank you. I appreciate
our
it.
health expert. Thank you so much. Good night. God bless everyone. If once again, visit our website at www.divinetruthcc.org, and you will be able to view the video over and over again. Once again, this is our first annual Health Summit. To your health. Be blessed.